talk about our big stories today. And Koforidua High Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of Ernest Kumi, the presumed winner of the Akwatia parliamentary seat or elections in the 2024, in the 2024 election. Now, after convicting him of contempt of court, but minority describes court ruling as unfair and unsatisfactory. Plus, President Nana Akufo-Addo has been telling his former appointees, quote, no running away from accountability, unquote. I mean, we know the recent happening between the OSP and the former finance minister, and the information out there that several of his appointees have left their jurisdiction. This is where the former president is saying, do not run away from accountability, come and answer to all the questions. And so these issues plus more to digest this morning with our panel, and we'll be joined in studio, Sudi, by Dr. Kabiru Mahama. He is the MP for Walewale. He used to be an aide in the the former vice president's office. Kabiru, good morning. Trust all is well?
All is well. It's been a while.
Yeah. I'm around.
I have a question on the lighter note. Is it just a few days in office and you already have grey hair, or were they there all along?
I'm sure the pace of graying has now hastened because they were not that visible.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you can even see them visible online.
Is that a lot of thinking?
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I'm not naturally a gray-headed person.
Okay.
Unlike my brother.
Yeah.
But to see them, in terms of when I stand before the mirror to see them, I get scared.
Wow.
Don't be scared. You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We also have in studio Wanda Madilo. He is a development analyst and a member of the NDC's National Communications team. Hi, Wanda.
Yeah. Very good morning to all your viewers, cherished viewers for that matter. Another privilege to speak to the nation on your platform.
Okay.
And we are indeed grateful.
All right. Now,
in fact, before we even go into our main conversation, I would like to find out from Doc, how is Walewale? I mean, we know that curfew is still ongoing. Have you had a chance to even go to the constituency?
Yeah, so I just want to say good morning to you again and my colleague Wanda Madilo, and to the good people of Walewale. The whole incident of a curfew happened whilst I was away. I joined the vice president for his lecture at Harvard Business School. So we're there when news of the curfew got to us. I returned just a day ago.
Okay.
My preoccupation was to get Parliament's attention. As a member of Parliament, I need to formally make this known to the Speaker that this is the affliction that has befallen my constituency. Thereafter, we would move to the Walewale constituency. I would have been leaving this evening, but because there's a planned joint visit by other friends of the constituency, we are deferring that to do that sometime on Monday, whilst all other parties interested in visiting and then commiserating with the affected people, especially the people of Walewale, would be ready. So basically, I've not gone there, but I'm in touch.
Yeah.
I've been speaking to relevant stakeholders involved. When it happened, I tried to seize myself with the facts, and you can recall even on this platform, incidents leading up to that, the climax of it is the curfew, but the incidents leading up to the curfew, we've discussed some of them on this platform.
Doc, you have to speak up for us. We can hear you.
So incidents that were, prelude to the event of the imposition of the curfew have been discussed on this platform. And it's rather unfortunate that Walewale will have to face that. I must note that this is the first time we are having such an issue. Second, this is the first time a community or a couple of communities have been imposed, a curfew has been imposed on them without internal conflict between parties. Because unlike all conflicts in Yendi, where there were curfew in Yendi, there were feuding factions within Yendi. In Boku, where there's curfew now, there are feuding factions in Boku. But in the case of Walewale, There is no like internal conflict between parties where you think that without the imposition of a curfew, it will be so difficult to contain the people. Admittedly, there are criminal activities on the road where people stop vehicles and attack these vehicles. I have had occasion to condemn that on this very platform, even though when you try to condemn the military, people say you are not condemning the acts of the people. So this is what had happened. We'll be delving into that much more extensively, but Walewale is calm. The people are cooperating with the security agencies, despite the fact that there have been several reports of the military going into people's homes and then extorting money from them. There are reports of people going into people's compounds, asking them to go into their rooms and sleep. You are supposed to ensure that people are not out. You don't determine the time they are supposed to sleep. All these are reports that are coming up. And then I'm sure in the coming days, when we go and seize and appraise ourselves with the full extent of the matter, we'll be coming back to update the good people of Ghana. Right.
So let's get straight into our conversation. And I want to start from Akwatia, Mr. Kumi, because there's a bench warrant on him for his arrest. And we saw him leaving Parliament. Some people say sneaking out of Parliament. Whether he left or sneaked out is a question we can all answer. But what did you make of it? This is a man who had an interim injunction on him on the outcome of the election for that area, Akwatia. He didn't show up in court. He was not supposed to be sworn in, but he went to Parliament. He was sworn in. He's participated in parliamentary proceedings for a month or so now. And now they're calling for his arrest. Minority Leader Alexander Penyumarkin is saying that the way we are treating this man is unfair. And that he, in fact, wrote to the judge saying that he's been busy with parliamentary duties, which is why he failed to show up in court when the case was being heard. Doc, I'll come to you in a second. Let me start from Mr. Wanda Madilo. What did you make of it? Have you been following how this whole case is unraveling?
First and foremost, before I answer that, I want to talk to Kabiru, Honorable. No, I think that your conflict, first and foremost, it explains why you have the grade. Now that we know the problems go beyond the internal party wranglings before your assumption of office. But we need to be calm about this matter. You see, conflict knows no political party colors. And what is happening in Walewale is something that nobody wish for or want. I mean, what's the business of government imposing curfew? When at the end of the day, that curfew affects governments the more because productivity then is zero at night in those areas. And we all know that Walewale is a very huge farming or agricultural-based community. And some of the things they do, like adding value to their produce, is done overnight. So indeed, no government would want to happily, impose curfew in Walewale if it is not for security concerns. You will recall that the regional minister actually went there, and her car was mangled, if you ask me, or she was met with a lot of violence, and I don't think that is even something we should celebrate. We should be condemning that act, because it could be me, it could be he himself, it could be today is the minister. And so I really think that this Walewale thing we can, tone down a little. We all know that those who are involved in criminal activities... What does tone down mean?
Exactly what do you mean?
No, I mean, the utterances that we hear every now and then,
Is it about the military brutality?
Yes, about those reports.
But if it's happening, should they not be talking about it?
So, unconfirmed, he himself said. Unconfirmed.
We spoke to the leader of the Mamprugu Youth Association, and he said that these military personnel enter the town and just start beating up people. We had that interview.
We'll discuss that a bit more. That's why I don't want to go there.
No, I'm coming.
The brutality has led to the loss of 2 lives. So it's not unconfirmed. So let us know. That's what I'm saying. When we get to the details, we'll talk about that. But I'm saying that I agree with you that we have to be moderate in our utterances because of the dicey nature of the issue. But I'm saying that we don't also do politics to say that, it's unconfirmed. It is confirmed that 2 people died in the hands of the military. It's a confirmed fact.
You know,
so
again,
those things. Unless of course we want us to broach the discussion of this one first.
We are not. We are not. I just feel that we should be circumspect. It's a security matter. First of all, Walewale is a major town you have to go through from northern region through to northeast through to upper east. And it's a major road. It's actually a border road. I mean, if you say border, I mean, it's a main road exiting this country. And you get to Boga, you go to the left, you are going through Navrongo, you go to the right, and then you are going to Boku and all the other areas. And so, and it's just one road out of that place. So we need to understand the dynamics under which the military will want to do this, or the government, the Interior Ministry will want to impose a curfew. That's what I'm saying.
But I've also questioned why the curfew when actually the activities, seizure of vehicles and what have you, happens during the day.
Yeah.
Why the curfew?
You know, it was not only about the cars, the attacks on the cars. There are also reports of arms movement.
In Walewale.
I mean, the whole conflict environment. You know that conflict is a spillover from Boku. He knows that very well. So we need to. That's what I'm saying.
But
a little bit of
experiencing any conflict.
Yeah, but that's where the attacks are happening. And how are they attacking people? With their hands? With their hands?
But then it comes back to the question.
But curfew is normally imposed in the evenings.
Yes.
When there are, plans going on, people are meeting overnight on how to, give reprisal attacks and all that. So it is to quell some of these, undercurrents. And I don't think that any government is excited to impose curfew on the community whose livelihoods in the evening is zilch. Okay. And that also affects productivity. I don't think that is the focus. Let's go back to Kumi.
Yes, please.
So on Kumi's issue, I think he has demonstrated the highest height of disregard for our judiciary. And it's unfortunate that it has gotten to this, because if you recall on the night of the swearing in, that midnight thing, he was asked several times, are you ready to bear the consequence? The same minority leader stated clearly that, yeah, he was ready. They asked him himself, he said he was ready. In the full glare of the cameras, in the full glare of the nation, in the full glare of the whole world, watching Ghana at that point. And we felt that, I felt that was a height of disregard. To know that I will step on a dagger and it will hurt me, and I'll say, oh, don't worry, put the dagger there, let me step on it and let it hurt me. You can only pay the price for yourself. Today we hear stories about the minority having to write to the judge, and when did that start? The minority is writing to the judge to say what? What is the role of the minority in the matter? This is a case between the one party on the other side and the other party, which is Ernest Kumi, and not the MPP as a party.
The minority,
yeah,
as a party.
But it is him that is that is in court. If you read the case,
yes,
it is
but
him
once he'd been sworn
court.
in, automatically he's part of the minority, and the minority as a caucus, they're speaking on his behalf.
And I'm saying that the MPP is not in court. They are not an interested party in the case. It is Ernest Kumi who is the party in the case. So for a strange person to write to the judge, he holds no water. At best, maybe appealing to the judge's emotions or goodwill or whatever of the sort. But you're not the party to the case. In any case, we knew of the injunction. He knew of the injunction. And then he went ahead to be sworn in. After you were even sworn in, you did not even take your time to even go to the court. And the court is right within your constituency or close by your constituency in Koforidua, right? And you go over the weekend, possibly, to your constituency. You never even took your time to say, let me go and see the judge. Exactly what are the bases? Engage your lawyers and go on and go on. Then the case went back to court. The judge has actually charged you for contempt. You still didn't show up to even, talk about the matter. You wait until now there's a proper warrant of your arrest, and then we're hearing all of this. I think that sometimes it is not about political party. You need to respect the laws of the land. And you are a member of the legislature, the very organ that establishes some of these statutes, laws, and all that governs us today. So Ernest Kumi's case is a sad case for our judiciary, but I also indeed feel that there's nobody above the law. If the law has to be enforced, let it be enforced to the latter. Let's see the full extent of it. I won't be excited to see my fellow brother in jail or anything of the sort. But I think that we need to get to a point where it is about the national view and not about our personal or political leanings for that matter. You saw how Judge Kwesi was in and out of court over these issues. There were times that even in the chamber they wanted to serve him and all that. But at least he respected the court by going to court. And then the judgment came, we went over and over and over. I think that people should give the right signals because he's not just an ordinary Ghanaian walking about. This is somebody who is a representative of a whole constituency. And the image you put out there should not be a disregard for a certain arm of government just because you are a member of parliament. I think that we need to find a way to resolve some of these issues.
I don't know how subpoenas work, but couldn't he have been subpoenaed rather than a bench warrant being issued for his arrest?
No, you've gone beyond subpoenas. This one is a contempt.
I mean, when the whole issue, the contempt hearing was ongoing, and he was not coming.
It's actually not the role of the judge to subpoena you over an issue you have already been found guilty for.
No, I mean, you are hearing the case for contempt, right?
Yes.
And your argument that he wasn't coming to court.
Yes.
Wasn't there any means that he could have been subpoenaed?
I don't think that, well, I'm not very abreast with the law on that matter, but I don't think that there was a case to be subpoenaed. Okay. No. I mean, when you are in contempt of court, that is already a determined case that you are in contempt. In fact, the action, if he didn't go to be sworn in and all that, then you didn't disregard the court because the judge in his ruling said that there is absolute disregard for the court and by his actions. And what are the actions? You did, there was an injunction application against you. You knew of it. You were served. You were asked whether you should be sworn in or not. You confirmed that, yes, swear me in. And I don't care what the consequences. I'm ready to bear the branch. That's one leg. Number two, it goes beyond that. Now the court says that you are in contempt because we gave an order which you didn't comply. Again, you didn't show up in court. You didn't want to even listen to the court again. So the position of Kumi just demonstrates an absolute disregard for the laws of our land. And that's where the crisis comes in.
He was playing the role of a representative of his people in the house.
Yeah.
And he didn't, because of that, he didn't get the chance or the time to come for the contempt hearing.
So my brother, that's exactly what is being questioned. Your representation is the one that is being questioned. So you can't even call yourself a representative of the people because that has been challenged in a competent court of law. And the court has taken a position. He's been sworn in against the position of the court. So that itself is what he's being called for as being in contempt. You see why in this case the judge wouldn't have taken into account the clerk or the who did the swearing at the time? It was the clerk, right?
Yes, the clerk.
Why they didn't pull the clerk into this case? Because the clerk was aware and gave clear instructions. We have received, we have been served. Are you still going to go ahead? He said yes, was going. So by that action, the clerk has actually recused herself from the consequence of being in contempt. Okay. So the very representation you are talking about is what was challenged in the first place. So to the court, you are not a representative of the house, of that constituency. That's for me basically, what it is.
Okay, let's listen to Dr. Kabiru now. What is the minority's position on this matter, really? He's a member of your...
That's his colleague anyway.
Yes, he's your... he's a member of the minority.
So the minority is disturbed. The minority is concerned. The minority is perturbed by the turn of events. The minority is not happy with how this matter has been handled. And if you can just rewind back, Mr. Ernest Kumi, the duly elected member of parliament for Akwatia, came to the House of Parliament midnight, 6th January, to be sworn in. The clerk to Parliament drew the attention of the House to the fact that an injunction has been placed on that candidate or his election. The outcome has been challenged and that he had been duly served. The minority took the view that Parliament procedures are exclusively within the jurisdiction of Parliament and that there have been precedents that a member has been served with injunction, yet the member has been sworn in Parliament.
Yes. In
the case of Asinov, Member of Parliament elect then, Mr. James Jackie Kwesi. This was the argument the minority leader advanced on the floor of Parliament and stated clearly that on the basis of that precedent, it was only fair and good, and being fair to the people of Akwatia that Mr. Ernest Kumi should be sworn in by the clerk. That was our argument advanced. He again stated that the minority then, now the majority, advanced the argument that Mr. Jackie Kwesen is aware of the legal implication of the act he was going to do or he was engaged in. So is Mr. Ernest Kumi. And that they were all acutely aware of the implication of that decision to get themselves sworn in despite notice of injunctions against them. That was the argument of the minority leader.
Was an injunction brought against Jackie Kwesen?
There was an injunction against Jackie Kwesen. As a matter of fact, in the preceding of that night, 2021 January, it was made clear, and the argument was that let Jackie Kwesen bear his own cross. Similar argument was advanced by Mr. Afenyo Osahe of Afenyo Markins. What is the difference? It's clearly based on precedence. Now, the judge disagreed that Mr. Ernest Kumi has been validly elected. No, not that he disagreed. He takes an application against him, an injunction against him. He says that by the fact that Mr. Ernest Kumi has defied and proceeding ahead to be sworn in as a member of Parliament for Akwatia, he has acted in contempt of court.
Is he wrong?
He's wrong because the judge is not the law in himself. There are superior authorities over him. A high court judge is subservient to the laws of the country, just like the court exists and is answerable to another court. In other words, there are other courts with jurisdiction over that court.
Great.
Okay, so it is not that the gentleman acted in complete disregard for the ruling. There were processes filed at the High Court, the Supreme Court, which in his interpretation operates as a stay of whatever is going on in the High Court.
So what you're telling us today is that there was a process started at the Supreme Court.
Clearly.
No. Is it a fact?
That's what I'm saying. I have even the minority, together with the lawyers for Mr. Kumi, has appealed even this decision as a filed for scale of execution. And we have advanced our files. And once court documents are filed, they become public records and they can be cited. I have the complete dossier here. And I can share them with you. I can read copiously of the processes. Okay.
So there are two things you're saying here, Kabiru.
Yeah.
One, you're saying that you filed processes against that ruling, right? The issuance of the bench warrant.
Exactly.
My question to you earlier was on your earlier statement that the party, he had filed processes at the Supreme Court, staying the process at the court. That's what I was asking, whether it's a fact that that had been done prior to this judgment.
One of our grounds for the appeal,
okay,
we are asking that the learned High Court judge erred when he proceeded to hear and rule on the application for committal of contempt, despite being served with a pending application of certiorari and prohibition filed at the Supreme Court.
Okay.
I am saying that the gentleman is not acting out of ignorance.
Okay.
The gentleman is not taking the law into his own hands. The law is a process. It's not an event that a judge could just decide to say that I disregard whatever is happening at the Supreme Court. Even before the judge himself, there was a notice on there was a motion on notice asking him to stay the proceedings.
Doc,
and he disregarded it.
You know, this Akwatia constituency is one of those who they couldn't conclude on, and so they had to be relocated to the police training school, right? And if this process, if something like this was happening, what would it have taken for him to appear before the court and say, we filed another application or we filed something in the Supreme Court? Rather, you refuse to show up to court and you go in and you're sworn in and you were able to say that the judge was wrong outrightly.
Yes.
In saying or rejecting a letter and all the other things that he did. But where do you think Mr. Kumi faulted? Rightly so, you're saying that there's been a process already in the Supreme Court. But the High Court, within its mandate, asked you to appear before us so that whatever it is, we can bring some finality to the matter. You don't show up. You don't say anything.
I have been a victim of similar processes.
Okay.
Applications, injunctions have been placed on my elections. I've gone through these motions before. Okay, and I know how some of these judges act and behave. But the law is the law. Once you have a process served and it is in your docket, you don't need another judge or another lawyer or someone, client to come and tell you. No. If you act, if you cut in disregard to that particular process filed before you, then the lawyers will have a recourse to say that you are ruling, you had erred because a document, just like the MPP has done. So now let's let the motion go, and then we'll then determine whether the judge was right or the lawyers for Mr. Ernest Kumi were those who were right. We cannot sit down here to appropriate who has legal gravitas in this matter or whose the law is favoring. But what I do know is that the judge was served with processes. These processes were supposed to stay whatever was going on in terms of the, notice or application committal for contempt. This was the understanding of the lawyers and Mr. Kumi who had engaged them. The judge went ahead and disregarded that rule. Let's see whether that ruling will stand. Because processes, we have appealed, we have also for stay of execution, and we have also appealed the ruling. Okay. So these two processes, in effect.
What date was this application filed?
19th February.
That's yesterday.
Yesterday.
The ruling was yesterday.
The ruling was yesterday. So I'm saying that these are the appeal we are talking about. So there's no problem. If
Kabir, let's put.
Understand. No, just help me. I think I'm a bit confused. Yeah. Are you saying that Mr. Kumi didn't show up to the High Court, the courts in Akwatia, because he thought that application was subservient to what application you had filed at the Supreme Court? Is that why he refused to show up?
I'm saying that in the first place, Mr. Kumi had filed an application to quash the decision of the High Court of the High Court Koforidua at the Supreme Court.
Koforidua, yeah.
Right.
And what date was this?
Not that yesterday. How can you file?
Yeah. So tell us when was this?
That's what I'm saying. You can't file the process.
You mentioned
it was filed on 8th January. Yesterday.
But it was filed on 8th January. It means he had already been sworn in.
Don't put words into my mouth.
You mentioned 19.
Don't put words in. I'm saying that the appeal of the ruling yesterday and the stay of execution of the ruling yesterday was done yesterday. Okay. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying that, but before that, the judge is not the law by himself. In fact, there are other superior authorities over him. Some have supervisory jurisdiction over him. And I'm saying that there was a process also filed at the Supreme Court earlier on. So Mr. Kumi is not acting on the 8th of January. So Mr. Kumi is not acting as if he disregarded whatever was happening, and then he decided not to show up in any court. He filed a process at the Supreme Court on the 8th of January. So the man was acting within the law. If the Koforidua High Court judge feels that, look, I'm disregarding whatever it is, he may have some legal backing for that, but that is where we need to go back to the court and test that. That is my whole argument.
All right. So why was he seen... if you've done nothing wrong, I like to say that then you have no cause to worry. Why did we see him leaving hours after this bench?
Once a judge rules on a matter, it becomes the decision until it is vacated. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. A law-abiding citizen with a contempt proceeding, with a ruling. I was part of the people who engaged Mr. Kumi before he left the chamber. Mm. As a matter of fact, myself, the deputy minority leader, and then one other person, I can't quickly, 3 of us, had a with Mr. Kumi before. And if you look at the visuals you guys took, when he was going out, I was the one following next to him. Mm. Okay, so it is not that we didn't engage, but we said, look, the news is that we have, even if Mr. Kumi had gotten, it was through the social media and then the new media, he got wind of the ruling. He had not been served. But once it is out there, one of the things that the media attention is going to be on you.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The proceeding, in fact, your cameras is going to be on Mr. Ernest Kumi. So it is advisable you leave Parliament once we initiate processes to restore your rights as an elected member of Parliament for Akwatia. That's what basically happened. It's not that he was run away from Parliament because he thought he had done something wrong, but he was only abiding by the laws of the country and respecting the ruling of the High Court judge.
Okay.
Quite interesting. How do we get to resolve it? Because he says they filed a case at the Supreme Court. How do we resolve this? Yeah.
You know, is this not surprising to you?
I didn't hear about it till today. Yeah.
That the MPP is now claiming that on the 7th, after Ernest Kumi was supposedly sworn in, they went to court on the 8th. Now, what were they going to court for on the 8th?
I can answer it. The court, we went to the Supreme Court
on the 8th.
seeking to quash the proceeding before the court, that's the High Court, and to prohibit from hearing the matter. So you are challenging, challenging the locus, the capacity, the jurisdiction of the judge.
The CI, you see, this is where the problem is. The CI that we went into the election with is clear on which court hears election cases. At parliamentary level. Yeah. It is the High Court. So I don't know. I have not read their pleadings in court, but whatever they were challenging, we can't tell at the moment. And we are not even privy to it. That's the first thing. And then he was sworn in on the 7th. Then the 8th, they claim they are in court challenging the what? You say what? The validity of the judge or what? The High Court sitting on the matter or what? What are you challenging? Then for all this while, nobody heard about it, nothing. And then yesterday, and he never showed up in court anyway, because if he showed up in court, even if you file a process challenging the eligibility of the judge hearing the matter, you still have to go back to court with your lawyers.
He said they had filed the processes on the judge too. The judge was on notice of what was happening in the Supreme Court. That's why he didn't go.
So you mean the judge is that reckless? To know,
well, according to the argument,
to know that somebody is challenging my jurisdiction on a matter, and then I come to sit on the same matter. Several sittings, you never showed up. Then yesterday, just when the contempt is, it was not even yesterday the contempt was determined. The contempt was determined earlier. Then yesterday, a warrant of arrest was issued. Then quickly you have gone to court again. No problem. The laws are there for us. And we will see the full, state of this matter. I think that for now we can rest the case while we wait for the full extent of the trial to move on. And then we will get to know better what it is. But you can share those documents with us. It looks like it's only MVP communicators.
It's a public document. That's what I'm saying. That once the document
actually, he's right. You can ask for it. You
can share it to me.
You can go for it.
We are all getting it for the first time. So
that's what I'm saying. A matter of this nature, I agree with you that if we are not seized with the full facts, we may accuse someone or even prosecute someone here without him being guilty. So and I'll send it to you. I'll give it to you. And I'm just happy that these different dynamics and twists of the matter is coming, and that the Ghanaian people didn't even know. He didn't even know that there was a process filed at the Supreme Court. So his views, his perception, his utterances toward the matter will be different if he was aware that there are processes filed at the Supreme Court, right? So we'll bring all this together. We will analyze everything, and then we'll come to a determination whether Mr. Kumi acted unlawfully or he acted within his rights.
Well, but do
you see how someone can say that this bullet had his name etched on it, just like the Kinoforiata case? It's a matter of communication. If he had made all this information available to the judge and said that, well, we have an application or we filed something or these are the processes.
The judge is aware of all these facts.
The
judge is, that's the ground for the appeal of the decision.
No, but
we are saying that you are aware. That's what we are telling that you are aware that processes, ABC processes were filed.
Honorable, I need clarification. So at a certain point, we were told that the minority leader wrote to the judge.
It's not true.
At what point did he write?
It's not true. That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't. Okay, let me have a copy of the letter.
That.
Yeah, he wrote to the judge. At what point did he write? And what was the content of that?
The minority leader is not even the point. Even there's any issue about a member of parliament and then the court. And it's like a member is wanted to present himself for court proceeding. The speaker.
Yes, that we know.
The speaker. That's what I'm saying. I want to see the letter that it was purportedly uttered by the minority leader. Then I can speak to that. It's the speaker who will tell them my member of parliament is not available to assist because he's attending to parliamentary business. That is normal, and that is even in the case of Mr. Quayson.
No, you keep linking Quayson to this.
The speaker came in. So I'm saying that I have not seen the letter. I have not cited the letter. It was an oversight on the part, but I have not seen any letter purported, written by Mr. Alex Afenyo-Makin to the judge.
Actually, I'm seeing the story. I'm trying to get the story is on myjoyonline.com. Even the judge saying that he rejected the letter, insisting that he would be going against his own ruling should he accept the letter from the minority court. But I do want to get your copy
so let
of
me
that
get
letter.
the letter.
But we can move on.
There could be some communication. The fact that our member, there could be. I'm saying our member, like I said, the speaker could equally. If the speaker is not doing it, the leader can speak on behalf of a member. My member is attending to parliamentary business. No, but
that power is vested in the hands of the.
I'm saying that
the speaker.
The speaker. I have
to be a blatant illegality.
I have informed. I have brought to the fore that it is the speaker's rule.
Yeah.
To communicate to. I'm saying that, but if for whatever reason a speaker is not doing it, which I'm not suggesting that that is what happened. I'm not by any means suggesting that. Minority leader with leadership over Mr. Ernest Kumi could equally communicate certain matters of facts.
There's no law.
There's nothing that bars the minority leader from.
But would that be equal to parliamentary immunity? Because that can only be triggered by the speaker, not the leader.
He doesn't have any locus to do that.
I'm saying that we don't know under what law or order of the standing orders of parliament the minority leader can, because I've not seen the letter.
Okay. All right.
None of us have seen the letter. We're only reading media reports. But I'm saying that, be that as it may, okay, there is nothing in law that says that the minority leader with facts best known to him is prohibited or is inhibited from communicating.
That's fine. I think once this issue is in the court, let's see how it travels. But let's move away and talk about other issues. Let's look at the call or the caution of the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to his appointees that they shouldn't run away from accountability. Of course, Kabiru, you were an appointee of the government as well.
Yeah, I am.
Your big Oga says that you don't have to run away from accountability. But why is it that we've seen a lot of you sort of leave the jurisdiction after the election, and many people say that, well, you're running away?
Yeah, first and foremost, the fact that someone has decided to travel outside of the country for different and varied and diverse reasons, it will be dishonest to then interpret that to mean that someone is running from accountability or facing, if you like, strict scrutiny of the law. That is the first thing. Again, except some few individuals, most government appointees have not, the government has not brought any issue regarding most of his appointees. Mr. Ken Oforiatta had an invitation from the special prosecutor. He replied to the special prosecutor that I am in the United States seeking medical attention and I'll avail myself when I come back to Ghana. The special prosecutor lacks patience. Contrary to the law, declared him a wanted man. There are stories about Mr. MPA boss, which turned out not to be true. Dr.
Mustafa Hamid.
Okay. Who are the people? Nana Akufo-Addo had several appointees. In fact, hundreds, if you like. and you are only dealing with one person and people, or two persons, and people would then generalize that to mean that appointees are run away from, accountability. I'm sure the call by the former president is very well placed. Very well placed because he had shared the mandate the Ghanaian people had given him with some individuals, including myself. He shared that mandate with ministers of state. He shared that mandate with CEOs. And that some of the questions would have to be answered by them if the state is so minded to ask certain questions about how they manage the affairs of a ministry, of an agency, of a corporation. So any one call would have and must avail himself, answer to the questions. And if the person has fallen short of the glory of God, the person has been found to have engaged in some malfeasance, financial impropriety, has engaged in the loot of the state, the person has also probably created something and then share with other people, as was done in the previous administration, and which has found expression in our jurisprudence as create, loot, and share.
And you can't arrest anybody for that?
If that, it's not true that people could not be arrested for anything. People are standing, even some of the people were standing trial. We see that less than 24 hours, 48 hours after the Attorney General had been sworn in, he discontinued cases, promoted some of them, gave some of them appointments. We are seeing it. Such a government in the first place, ab initio, will not have the moral gravitas, will not have the moral right to even hold people accountable for corruption. That's my sincere opinion, that a government that comes in less than 48 hours, the Attorney General, less than 48 hours, and started discontinuing criminal cases. So far, several people, and not less than 9 people, criminal proceedings against them.
Are you dissatisfied with
the
reasons cited? Do they not sit well with you? The reasons he gave, that in good conscience, some of them there's no evidence, others he was a counsel, to...
You see, you cannot be, even that is the conflict.
He goes on and
that
on.
That is even the conflict. If you were a counsel, if you were Attorney General, you were a counsel to if you like, an accused person, you should be the last person even making judgment on it.
No, but
in
the reason why
capacity now as Attorney General.
That's what I said. It is clearly a conflict, though the law clothed him with the authority to file a nolle prosequi, to withdraw cases, that you can't take away from the Attorney General. That is what the law mandates him from. But I'm saying that in good conscience that he's saying, the good conscience would have alerted him that, look, this case, I was the person involved. Right?
I was the lawyer. That he's privy to all the information.
I'm saying that, yes, I know he's privy. I know he's privy. And that particular fact of being predisposed to the fact put you in a conflict situation. Like suppose I'm serving as a lawyer to you, I'm appointed as the Attorney General, you have a case. I cannot be the best person to make judgment on that case.
But you are also in a position to ascertain for yourself all the pieces of evidence there and then make a judgment whether or not, in good conscience, you should continue trying the case.
That case.
Yes or no?
You will not be, because you are in a conflict situation. And that's why the law asks us, whenever we are in a conflict situation, the rational and conscionable thing to do is to recuse yourself. And probably say that, look, this is a criminal matter. I am so much involved. I'm the attorney. Let me refer you to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Let them come with their independent fund, because that somehow operates independent of me. This is about administrative misprice. Let me refer you to Siraj. So when they clear the person, it will not be like you are sitting down and clearing people and promoting them. Look, some of them, they are just being cleared and promoted and given juicy appointments. This is what we are seeing. And I'm happy with the call by the former president. We will present ourselves, but I'm saying that coming to face the Attorney General in the court to answer charges, I'll have that moral dilemma of why is this person trying to prosecute me when there were cases he did not even afford the Ghanaian people a full fact before even discontinuing. He discontinued them when the public uproar came against the decision, questioning the legal basis for then he then came to provide explanation.
Let's pause there. So he's saying that the Attorney General's explanation was even reactive. It wasn't, it came because Ghanaians were pouring in and saying that, calling them a clearing agent and all that. What did you?
I am at a loss to find a reason in Kabiru's presentation on the matter of nolli prosequa and the matter of people running away from this country and all that. Now, if you want to talk about nolli prosequa, first and foremost, I have only one example for him, if he wants to know. We have been in this country on the 17th of March, 2017. 3 months after this government came into power, their Delta forces had misbehaved in the compound of the National Security Advisor or Coordinator in Ashanti region. These guys were arraigned before court. In open court, the judge had to run for her life. The judge had to run for it. They went to the court premises with all the gamut of military men and police there to free their people. That's how reckless they were. When this case finally got to court, did this same Attorney General, Godfred, then I think he was deputy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she was deputy. He was deputy.
Did the boss not file a nolli prosequa in this country? Did they give any reason for which they did what they did at the time? When did they find the moral high ground today to be questioning why a case is withdrawn from court? First and foremost, there's no constitutional, requirement that when you take a case out of court or you withdraw out of court, you should give reasons.
Yeah, well, good question.
It is out of good governance, good reason that the Attorney General decided. In any case, they are not the ones who called the Attorney General to say this. Felix Fosu, right after the event, had granted a press conference and he said, in due course, the Attorney General will give reasons.
Yeah.
So at what point did the MPP even know that there were going to be nolli prosequa, in some of these cases or withdrawal of charges and all that?
But Mandela, do you get why Ghanaians were pouring out? Because this government came into power on the back of accountability.
I'm going there.
Okay.
Accountability is not...
Transparency. I was getting to that
transparency.
Point so you don't do something like that, and then when we are asking you questions before you come and give us the answers to it, I think that's a concern of most people.
No. First and foremost, the office of the Attorney General's Department is a creation of law, and that law says that when I withdraw a charge, I am under no compulsion to explain to anybody why I'm withdrawing a charge of an accused. That's one. So you talk about transparency. He then went further to say that, well, I have withdrawn the cases, and these are the reasons. These are the cases I've withdrawn, and these are the reasons. For some of them, he actually stated that the Attorney General, Godfred Dami, at the time was written to by investigators, by the prosecution team, that these cases were frivolous. We're going nowhere with it. Withdraw it. Almost all of these cases have been in court for 7 years on the bounce. That I'm accused certainly makes me corrupt. That I'm accused certainly makes me a convict. That I'm accused certainly makes me a jailbreaker.
That I'm accused certainly makes me a criminal. Huge sums of money, like the Saglami Housing Project, for example.
I am getting there.
Okay.
I am getting there. And then you talk about, first of all, crime is crime. Let's not describe someone as bigger than others. Once you are before a competent court of jurisdiction, crime is crime.
Crimes are bigger than crime. That's what punishment.
I'm saying crime is crime. I'm not talking about punishment.
Yeah.
No, I said crime is crime.
Yeah,
I didn't say,
but they differ. That's what the point I want to also establish.
I did not say punishment. I said crime is crime.
No,
once a criminal, you're a criminal. I'm coming.
I think what he's saying is crime is crime, but he's saying the degree of crime, and the degree of punishment that is meted out.
Listen, if you steal 2 CDs, another person steals 100 million, the charge is the same. The punishment is the same. It's not as though somebody stole 100 million, so you are going to be giving big house. Why? Stealing is stealing.
Yeah.
Stealing is stealing before the law. So I'm not going to go into that part of the discourse. So these cases have been in court for 7 years. On the back of a government that promised that, we're going to have judicial trial where we have evidence that they are corrupt, and indeed they are corrupt, we are in court. To the extent that we even had in the past a former Attorney General trying to influence people to give evidence in a certain manner. All of this we have not discussed. All of this, the MPP is not awoke to that yet. And they are talking about nolli prosequa. Well, the president's call can only be a good call to us if indeed he's calling on his people to stay and not run away from justice. I am particularly very excited about this call because, you see, beyond going after thieves, I mean, supposed thieves, corrupt individuals in government and all that, is the fact that if John Mahama misses this opportunity that Ghanaians have given to him to bring to book people who are seem to be corrupt or people who are corrupt, we must as well kiss goodbye to our democracy.
But does it lie within his power to bring them to book? Is the court that will decide?
I'm going to go there. So it's a collaboration. The court, the judiciary, the legislature, and then the executive. But you need what we call the political will to prosecute all these matters.
Sure.
When it comes to crime, it lies solely on the lap of the executive, by extension, the Attorney General, to engage some of these things. So for me, I think that it's a good call. We hope that they will listen to his call, because I know his appointees are not known to be listening to their president's call. So we hope that they listen to
Wonder, but when is the 24-hour economy starting?
Well, first and foremost, you should know that by now we haven't read budgets. We are still working on their budget that is taking this country nowhere. So by 14th of March, hopefully, I think the budget will be read. But already the office of the 24-hour economy has been established, waiting for legal mandate to proceed. That will be captured in the budget. It will give oxygen to it to establish it proper by law. And then Gusitano, who is supposed to lead that charge, will implement it. However, even on the sidelines, the MP has just announced that they are going to introduce some meters that you can go to a fueling station at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, discharge your own fuel, and you're gone.
But what isn't the policy?
So we're going to have that.
Isn't the policy supposed to be running on one job, 3 people doing it on 3 shifts?
So that's not all there is. That's the human resource part of it. We're looking at. That's what we call it economy, not a human resource, not just a human capital. We want the economy to be running, people working at all times. The economy itself is running. For instance, I should be able to walk in, for instance, my bank, for instance, I'm able to cash out money at 8 p.m. already. I mean, it's one of their branches. If that can be extended to many other places, fine. DVLA has also just announced that they are going to be one of the first group of department and agencies that will start the 24-hour economy. So indeed, it's a process, and that process would also be partly played by the private sector when we give them the right environment, security, energy, and then the legal framework to be able to do it. Sometimes too, we may have to support them, financially.
But the government sector will also play a role.
Of course, the government sector will play a role.
And you need people to do that.
Sure.
So why sack people that government as a machinery has employed already?
Well, if you talk about dismissal, I'm sure you want to talk about the revocation of some appointments.
Yes, because Dr. Bawumia is asking President Mahama to reverse those revocations.
No, Bawumia just found his moral high ground so suddenly. When he won government in 2017, and almost everybody was sacked, he had no business with that. But be that as it may, let's. I mean, those who were employed, you've forgotten that your Safo went to Parliament and even condemning that when the transition team was formed, within that period, we could not even do anything. What are you talking about? Was Safo not the leader in your public sector reform at the time?
But do you have evidence that they sacked people? Because they've been contesting it since the issue came.
They were suspended, they weren't sacked.
They said show document that
she just said they were suspended. She said suspended.
No, the appointment was suspended, but the people were not sacked.
Yes.
Unlike this is a revocation, which means they're completely terminated. But what they did was to say, hold on.
If you listen to the press briefing of Felix Wosukwashi yesterday, Honorable, what he said was that all these people's appointment that were revoked was first of all in breach of the transition group, with the transition team at the time they were working. They had a gentleman agreement that, listen, you have already run the economy aground. You will not put extra burden, extra spokes in the wheels of government for the next government. Be circumspect in the decisions you take. Even payments were done within that period. You remember there was a lot of brouhaha about it. Now, there's a process of recruitment. You can't just get up and say, I'm recruiting somebody overnight, and then the person is at post without the necessary requirements for the position. These were some of the things we found out. People were employed after 7th of January, and their letters were backdated 4 months, 5 months, backwards. That's actually stealing from the public purse. Because for no work done, you haven't worked for 4 months before your appointment. Yet you see appointments that were backdated. So some of these things are being investigated. If indeed no wrong has been committed and they can be deployed in any other environment, why not? Again, the position is not. But it is not the role of government.
Based on your point.
Yes.
Why then was the keyword not suspend, but rather, because you say that you are investigating.
Yes.
When no wrong is done,
yes,
you would.
For some of them.
Yes. Yes. You would reassign.
Yeah,
them.
they will be re-engaged, but they can actually reapply.
Interesting.
They can actually reapply.
Because basically, you see, I
would have been worried. No, I would have
terminated the appointment too. Yeah. So if you finish your investigation, you ask them to reapply.
So should the state but should also in the same vein, should the state agency for which they were appointed also go blank because some investigation is going on? If you observe, almost all the positions are acting. Some of them are pending board approval and all that. So it's not as if a substantive has been appointed and therefore you cannot come back. I think that these are labor issues that can be resolved at any time. I don't think that is a problem. I would have been worried if it was, say, police, military, and all those recruitment. In fact, some of those ones. No.
The Interior Minister issued.
Hold on.
In fact, those in the nurses and midwives were even threatening industrial action if their appointments are revoked. Recently,
nurses and midwives needed clearance from the finance minister, and that must come through the budget. Something that has not appeared in the budget. No clearance has been given by Parliament. You went ahead to employ them. That's actually a criminal activity. That's actually not good governance. That's not accountability. So what do you expect the new government to do? This is a government that has left so much hole in our purse, and we have to fill it up. Yeah, and this same government goes around to create for us a problem.
Just a second. That's where there's a little drop of doubt in everything that you're saying. Let me take you back to when you initially assumed office. There was a talk about fuel, and there was only like 5 hours fuel stock, and the fuel available would take us for a number of days. I've forgotten the exact number of days. And then we didn't see the fuel. You said you had made emergency arrangements to purchase fuel. We didn't see it actually happening. But the light was kept on for a while. Just a second, Doc. Just for a second, Doc. Now, this what we're discussing now. Phyllis Kwachif also has cited backdating application or appointment letters and all that. Anomalies, the ones that he's mentioning. But as a media personality, I haven't actually cited any of these backdated letters or any of these irregularities that they're talking about. It's just what they are saying to us. Would it be terribly wrong if you can show us that, for example, these 100 people whose appointment letters, who didn't go through interviews, who didn't apply, but were appointed, and this is why we're, otherwise,
this is a country,
just going to take your words
this
for
is
it.
A country of law. First of all, appointment or getting an appointment letter is a confidential document between you, the employer, and the employee.
But this has become a national issue now,
it is not in our place as government. We are not aggrieved in this matter to put out this information. First and foremost, we wait. Those who even came to make the complaints, none of them has even shown you letters of their sack. Indeed, even if they were letters of their sack, let them produce also letters of their appointment. And then we can speak to it. But for us to now be the ones... For us to now be the ones...
I think we can cite the Ghana Water one that wrote specifically and telling the workers that if your appointment was done in November 2024 downwards, your appointment has been terminated.
Yes.
Pursuant to the directive from the presidency.
Show us something. Is all we are saying.
Yeah. So,
Kabir, will you allow me to talk? You are too much in a hurry.
I think you are too much in a hurry.
Let's give on this matter. And then we come to you.
On some of those specific ones, I told you that there are a gamut of issues. One, backdating, which in this particular case we are not told yet what happened to that appointment. Then we also saw that right after elections on the 7th, there were a lot of shenanigans in terms of employment, and then some of the employment from the back door. These are all public service institutions, and some of these people should have been employed through the public service department. Some should have been employed through the civil service, and none of this was done. If an MD decides today and say, I'm employing directors, and never recruited that from the public service, neither from the civil service, you think that should stand and that is fair? What about the others who were duly qualified and never got a chance because they were not close to a minister or to an MD to enjoy some of this? Indeed, they may all be Ghanaians, but they deserve equal opportunities. So and that's what we're saying.
All of the people had, like Felix
I'm saying that if any of the people sacked, that's have a case. There is the Labour Commission is there to address some of these issues.
Let me put this to you, Manilo. This government came
You really
into
want to
power.
put things to me?
It's accountability,
because you're the one in government.
transparency,
But how does
and
but
jobs.
how that,
Just a second. These three words: transparency, accountability, jobs. Do you think these three elements are playing out here? One, these are jobs that are being terminated. These are appointments and recruitments that are being terminated. You are actually taking jobs out of the hands of Ghanaians.
No.
In terms of accountability, maybe you're saying that the public purse, we cannot handle the excess numbers. In due time, you open recruitment and all that. But in terms of transparency, what is the evidence that thousands of appointments and recruitments are all flawed with anomalies and not even one follow due process, and you are terminating all these appointments
but you
and
see, you have
and you are just telling us this.
No, but I think you have not been patient enough. For all the things you know today is because you heard it. So we will continue to tell you what it is.
But the lives of Ghanaians are hanging in the balance while we wait for you to show us
others
why.
who were also wrongfully, who were also denied. Fairness. If you want to recruit an MD, okay, which the act says you must go through Public Services Commission, and you didn't go through the Public Services Commission, and you recruited from the back door. What about the many other Ghanaians who are equally Ghanaians?
Let's
and
take
deserve
Doc's
to be
take on
appointed?
this now. Hold on.
So we need to be fair.
Dr. Kabiru, you've been smiling mischievously.
Even Kabiru himself, somebody was fired and he took his position at the time. So he won't talk to
nothing
this.
of that happened. Nothing of that happened. There's this exposed rationalization of brute injustice that have occasioned the Ghanaian people by a very government that came on the back of jobs for people, one job, 3 people, 3 what?
Yeah, 3 shifts. But he says their budget is yet to.
It's not possible. It is possible, is it not?
This is what the Ghanaian people are served with. Look, it is not true that most of these appointments they have revoked only happen on the 11th hour. Appointment takes time. Most of these people started a process of interview, screening, aptitude test, all the way to their appointment. He says there was agreement at transit. There was no agreement. You remember when they even raised this issue? Fatima, who was a core spokesperson, said that we don't have any agreement on this. The fact that the incoming government says they want this doesn't make it the law. We are in this country. Mr. Domelo was appointed after Mr. Mahama had lost power.
Joseph Whittal. Joseph Whittal too.
Yes, Whittal, the Shiraj or NCC.
Is that NCC? No, it's not NCC. That's Shiraj.
Shiraj,
yes.
Right.
You see, the rationalization then was that the fact that you've lost power doesn't mean that your mandate has ended.
Yeah.
And that you have all the way up to the 7th where your mandate will have ended. That was 8 years ago. Those appointments were never revoked. None of such appointments. Mr. Osofo would have raised that it is only good that those that are done illegally be. But coming to power, you know that you needed to govern. You don't need to separate between NDC and MPP. You are coming on the back to tell us that those people who were appointed were MPP people. That's basically what they are telling the good people.
We haven't said that.
Because if they will consider them as Ghanaians, people who deserve to have butter on their bread, people who are supposed to also bring something for their family to be fed, you will not contemplate a minute to even think of the possibility of revoking someone's appointment. You are adding to the unemployment situation. You are basically taking away jobs from Ghanaians, and you are now telling the Ghanaian people that people will have paid such people's salary. You say you don't have money to pay them. People would have paid them.
Never said that.
But you are saying that there is no budget, people are not. That's basically what you are saying. So if you are telling me there's no budget, you are telling me that there was no money to pay them. I'm not putting those words into your mouth. You have told the Ghanaian people live on television that there is no budget to pay those people. And I'm saying that the MPP government had made provision, and most of those people, almost all of them, because I don't have the full facts of it, that's why I'm choosing my word carefully. You cannot employ someone without financial clearance. It's common law, Public Financial Management Act. Okay, every single person that was employed by the GRA, by the Ghana Water Company Limited, by Minerals Commission, by the Interior Ministry, were all given financial clearance. Now you go to terminate those appointments. And you sit, call the press, address the press, and you are not even sensitive to how the families of these people will feel. And you have the moral high ground to even tell those people that they were not recruited properly. Well, elections have consequences, and this is one of the consequences Ghanaians will have to bear in the next 4 years. But I'm clear in my mind that no law has been breached in the appointment of those people. The government may only be up against several lawsuits or several arbitration under the Labour Act because unlawful dismissal of a person. It's just that most of these people don't have the agency. A poor graduate who just come out of a university does not have the agency, to put the government, to hold the government, to ensure that his right is enforced.
Some actually threaten legal action. Our time is fast spent. We have only one more issue to go.
Just a clarification on the issue of Attorney General.
That should be 30 seconds.
Auditor General, NCC, and all that. These are constitutional appointments. It's a constitutional matter for which their tenure is guaranteed. For instance, it's like coming to office and trying to say you want to change the Chief Justice. There's a process of removal of an SEC.
The process of appointment is not regular.
Hold on.
It's not regular. Someone can challenge it.
Hold on.
So you don't fact that it's a constitutional matter that the president can appoint.
Gentlemen, have you heard that? Wait, just a second.
Work with your Auditor General for all period.
Have you heard that illegal miners have blocked the Forestry Commission's access, hijacking 9 reserves? Have you heard that story?
I haven't, addressed my mind to that, but
I'm telling you now, and if you were to make an educated guess, what do you think emboldened them to do that? Illegal miners blocking Forestry Commission's access.
No, to be honest with you, this has been ongoing. It's not now. You've heard the Aisha, whatever case. They were all, part of the.
I'd like us to discuss this as the current situation, what's happening now.
I'm coming. Okay. So we can't take it in isolation. The illegal miners in this country have been very bold. We all know that. The seizure of excavators was out of their boldness, being overboard. So government had to put in a task force. The act of pollution of the water bodies is also an act of boldness because they knew of the existence of laws that prevents them from doing it. But the disregard for our laws, the disregard for the security services, the disregard for even the town folks, the disregard for traditional authority, including even a minister that grants them the license, is what has led us to this. So this is not an isolated case. It has been an ongoing case. But I can tell you for a fact, they are also seeing that there's a change of government. And so if there's a way to explore, government is not settled yet. Security apparatus have just been put in place. They want to exploit some of these areas.
Thousands of Ghanaians poured onto the streets.
However, no, you listen to me.
Let me make a point so that you can add it to your reflection. Thousands of Ghanaians poured out to the streets. And we're voicing our displeasure against this canker that is eating at the fiber of this country's our quest for development, even our human lives, water, drinking water and all that. And we thought that the Walewale administration had failed us drastically. Therefore, we're giving you the chance to see if you can turn the situation around. 2 months on, we have illegal miners. We've even named people who are NDC members. Case in point, our MP. And you're saying that we cannot discuss this without drawing reference on what happened in the past. But we put you here because we trusted that you'd be able to nip it in the bud.
No, you're getting it all wrong.
Okay.
First and foremost, it's not 2 months since we've been in office.
Okay.
It's not 2 months. So it's either that you're expecting so much from us, which we will deliver.
It's okay. You've been in office for over a month now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, however, I have just told you that all the appointment within the security sector, all the appointments within the security sector are not even set yet. We don't even have a deputy minister for interior, deputy minister for defense. They are yet to go for their vetting.
So
hold on.
Okay.
So I'm telling you I'm telling you about.
Let them fight the Galamsey.
Kabiru, you had 8 years to fight this Galamsey. You couldn't. Okay. So 2 months is not. It's not as though we're asking for too much. But I'm saying that it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing engagement, and I know for a fact, and where we sit, that one of the things we want to do is to take care of this Galamsey issue holistically. It is not just about the few people who have blocked roles of Forestry Commission. It is not about the few people who are, doing illegal mining. It's about the holistic management of our environment as a whole.
Which is what's the strategy then?
Wanda, is the Galamsey issue a national security issue?
Of course, it's a national security issue.
When did you know this?
We have always known that.
Okay. So, did you devise a strategy to execute when you were in opposition?
Of course we do that. We did.
When are you waiting to start implementing the strategy?
Again, I told you that security issues are not just one-off projects or one-off thing you do. It's a long chain of events.
Yes.
Now, today we are told that some have blocked, I haven't seen actually, but they have blocked access of Forestry Commission, team members to go into some of those places. It is not as though government is sleeping.
Yeah, I know you're not sleeping.
It's not
I know you're not sleeping, but you see, you admitted that this is a national security issue.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Once it's a national security issue, and you knew the devastation this Galamsey was causing, were you expecting to have to spend like 100 days before you
But
start?
are you also saying that just because we are putting measures so people, criminal-minded people, will still test the system? Is that the suggestion?
Because we've not begun.
That can be the
We're not seeing
suggestion.
anything yet.
No,
That's why.
That's not true. That can be the suggestion.
What is being done now?
No.
What are you doing?
Currently, at the Forestry Commission level, what government is doing is that we actually have a team that is working on the ground. First of all, which areas have been devastated? Why were they devastated? The various licenses that have been issued. You know that His Excellency the President had actually spoken to that. Even our own Felix Akwatia has spoken to that. In collaboration with the Lands and Forestry Minister, have all spoken to that. We need to know the extent of some of these issues. It's one thing being in government, it's another thing being in opposition and see from afar. Now in government,
so you know exactly
so
how you know the extent.
That architecture is being put in place. And I can assure you, we are not even going to read budgets yet to even know the exact attitude, the exactitude of figures we are dealing with yet. We are only receiving figures from transition team, which we are working with for now. So you will need to give us a little bit more of time to address this holistically.
I was thinking that as a bench player, when you are sitting on the bench, your manager is telling you, you see that player there. The strategy is that when you go in, tackle him, make sure
that's what we've been doing all the while, and we've gotten to this level.
You've come in. No. 31 days has elapsed.
Yes.
In the next 28 months, we have done 20 days.
No.
And so let's say
I know the expectations of our country, of our government is very high.
We get it. But the bench player should be able to come and change the game.
No. We're not in a rush to
Let's
make
hear
mistakes.
from those who were on the field.
We're not in a rush to make mistakes.
Government is either sleeping or on honeymoon on this fight against Galamsey.
Come on.
And
you also spent 8 years.
And I want to repeat it.
8 years.
Government is either sleeping or on honeymoon on the fight against Galamsey.
Kabiru.
81 days. 8 years. 8 years in power. 8 years in power. The MPP government has been punished with a catastrophic defeat. Ghanaian people rejected the new patriotic party, among other reasons, because of our failure to address comprehensively the Galamsey menace. We have taken the fall. The obvious punishment has been meted out to the new patriotic party. There's no point holding the MPP ransom again for whatever happens in the case of the fight against Galamsey, because we have paid the ultimate price. So if people come here to tell me that 8 years you were in power, that is double jeopardy.
32 days.
That is double jeopardy, because the Ghanaian people had already punished the new patriotic party for that inability to address it.
Unfortunately, the director keeps telling us that we overran, so we have to
that's not fair. That's not fair.
So
I need to make, and I want to even make an update. That's why I wanted my issue to come last. So you give me 30 minutes after we to address
we
that.
Don't have
so on that, I think that this government told us they had a plan to address Galamsey. 1 month into the office, we should see the plan be implemented. Not the purposeless lamentation of a minister for lands coming to parliament to lament, asking us to give the support. As a matter of fact, the Ghanaian people has already given you the mandate to execute and curtail Galamsey. So that is the point. And I don't think that
8 years
this rationalization of time will give you. Let's give them 3 months. Or you want half a year. We'll give you, look, we'll give you 6 months. Let's come back to this table.
Yes.
And then address it.
Now
6 months.
speaking to the
We're giving them 6 months. On the
yeah.
issue, I want to use this medium because I thought we were going to discuss, but you find a way of bringing it earlier briefly as a comment. On the issue of I want to appeal that to the Interior Ministry to consider seriously the review of this particular decision to impose curfew in Walewale. Once I do that, I also want to take a minute to appeal to the people of Walewale to help the security services maintain law and order. And I want to do this in a minute in my local language so that everyone...
that's perfect. Yes.
Yeah, so, Walewale man boazan baka pushia kene na ondia so ko pam. Den nangma te sorab ti no kanton te sorab ti no kabur beti sorab bur kanna. Ma yasu shenya yasung bansu to de tungban no fokmusma ka ba tung bu tungban ma ka so do abene. Yerne ya to ashadin ya chaka bazang zalkparawa namba ma nuhne ntum ya chuta be ntum ya birum ya susia ne ka chaka so yinne ka chaka nangban yinne ka chaka so do abbe tangban mane ka to bob mal konti ya to ashisa ampatma na on dia so I'm just trying to tell.
Yes.
But wait, I'm just trying to tell that I'm just urging them to help the security agencies to maintain peace. They shouldn't do any act that will let the security agencies take the law into their own hands and then try to mete out further brutalities on them. What has happened, we never expected it to happen. Be that this it has happened. They should cooperate and let us have lasting peace in the country.
The regional minister.
I mean, the regional minister. I will just appeal to you to actually also ensure that there is discipline, but you should also be mindful of your utterances. Your utterances has caused the utterance has caused you more pain than it should have helped you. Once you try to build bridges with the people, and I also want to apologize on behalf of the people who might have attacked you, but the security personnel who killed one of the officers, one person from Logri, Mr. Kadri, was killed. Another youth organizer of one police station organizer, Mr. Alhaji Sumail Abawa, was also killed. All in the hands of the military personnel in Walewale. Please give them justice and let this family know that we are not in a state of, we are not in a jungle where people can just kill other people for no reason. And also the people who are killing the innocent people on the roof.
Abdul Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Walewale. We also had in studio joining us Madilo Wanda, Development Analyst and member of the NDC Communications team. They join us to discuss a myriad of issues of national interest. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on the AM show.